headphones or my microphone. I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Everything okay? Okay, good. Welcome back to my channel. This is CT over the NYC Indian, and today we're going to be reviewing the Courtship episode 11. This is going to be brought to you from an urban Native American perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. So let's dive right on in. Is it a little bit dark? The color keeps going in and out. Maybe you guys can... Okay, I think it's better now. All right, so let's talk about, okay, you know what? Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Let me just turn the lights on real quick, okay? Be right back. Okay, all right. Can you hear me okay? I'll put my mic back on. All right, so let's get talking. Okay, you guys had the chat going crazy, or not the chat, but the comment section was going crazy. You guys are so funny. So let's talk about it. Did you guys see it last night? I just finished watching it like 20 minutes ago, so it's like very fresh on my brain right now. So we start off with her, and she's talking about Lincoln, and you know, it's ironic. She starts off the episode saying that, hey, oh, hi, Sharina, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Did you watch it, girl? Was it crazy? Oh my God. She starts off the episode talking about that she can change Lincoln, right? I think he's not quite there, but you know, I can maybe help him, you know, get there. Listen, ladies, if this is not a lesson to any of us, yes, okay, good, you watched it. If this is not a lesson to any of us, to all of us, you cannot change guys, okay? Or it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship with a man, a woman, whatever. You don't go in with the intent that you're going to change somebody, especially a guy who's so nomadic like he is. He's so used to that little, you know, kind of easy life he has, not a lot of responsibilities, not a lot of commitment. So, I mean, I don't understand. Like, this is a problem that a lot of, you know, come on, girls, we know this is a problem. I don't know if there are any guys that are watching this now, but you know, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, well, you know, Jesus, or sometimes it'll be like from the older people, like the grandmothers or the aunties, you know, you just work on him, you know, he'll get there. No, absolutely not. We are not here to build a bear or fix a man or build a man or fix a man. Okay, that's it. You're coming in, you have all these other options. Why would you even waste your time trying to fix somebody? It's ridiculous. So anyway, let's move on. I really wanted to address that because that was just like, that was just crazy. So anyway, so it's time for her to go bee collect or honey collecting. I don't know exactly what that's called. Not very cultured, but you know, they have on their bee collection outfits or honey collection outfits, and she's all scared and everything. So she does it with both Lincoln and Judge, and Lincoln is the one that gets to sit down with her mom later on, and she's asking, you know, the tough questions about commitment and stuff, and he's, you know, he is being honest. And here's the thing that, you know, he BS'd her later, or like a couple episodes ago, when he said, you know, no, I'm scared of commitment, but I think I'm starting to fall in love with you. That's when he was BSing her. But other than those times, he has said repeatedly that he doesn't know if he's ready for this commitment. So, I mean, it is just mind boggling, but unfortunately we know a lot of women for some reason do this. They take guys that will be like that for some reason. So anyway, the mom is like, what is this? And, and later on the mom's like, well, I realized that he was, you know, maybe a little bit afraid of commitment, but my goodness, I didn't realize he was literally living in an SUV. That was so funny. Her mother's a physician, for God's sake, right? Like, she wants her daughter, you know, vagabonding around America in like somebody's, like, you know, Bronco or something. Anyway. So then, okay, so now it's Cohen's time to have a date with her, and he's with her and the goat, and their task is they have to milk this goat. And she's got them, you know, either one of them, it looks like they have no like kind of farm experience or anything. So they're trying to milk the goat, and then, you know, they have a little mishap with the milk and stuff like that. But she's saying, you know, to him, like, I want you to show a little bit more romance. And you know what, in all fairness, he really hasn't been like overly romantic with her, or he hasn't like made gestures and stuff like that. And she definitely seems like the type of woman that kind of likes to be chased And, he's not doing any of the chasing, which makes her feel like she has to be the pursuer. And, it's different for different people, but a lot of women, I guess I would say, straight, gay, whatever, bisexual, I think a lot of women do like to be pursued. So she's typical in that, right? I mean, that's not a big deal, but I don't know if it's too late for him. At first I was wondering if it's the whole because he's bi thing, but now I'm starting to wonder if it's just maybe, I don't know if that would be a factor ultimately, but I feel like just even, before you even get to that point, I feel like it's, well, if he's not showing romance and you have all these other guys that are like, sneaking in kisses and sneaking in your bed at night and all that stuff, it's just crazy. So he's not showing that. And I can understand why she's a little bit like, oh, well, do I have to do all the work here? Like, how do you really feel about me? So now it's time for Bakikio, and he tells her that basically, I mean, he's just basically telling her that she's a fool, okay? Like, you know what? I'm upset that last night you decided to let this man in your bed for the second time, and here I am, vying for your affection. And Bakikio is very competitive. And my concerns with him have been, if you guys watch my past episodes, that basically I feel like I like his honesty. He's got that, that sort of honest sort of thing about him. Not, I wouldn't say brutally honest, but he's got more of that honest kind of thing, which I appreciate. But at the same time, it felt like he was there more like a machismo kind of thing. And maybe that's my own, just my own experience from dating and stuff like that, and also living in New York, and and he's Italian. Italian guys can be very like, very machismo. So I don't know if it's some of that I'm reading into, but I just see that with him, and it feels like because he's so like that, that is he there for the right reasons? I'm not sure. You think he was hurt, Sharina? He did seem bothered. He definitely seemed bothered, but I wasn't sure if he was bothered because he felt like it was a competition kind of thing and he's losing out, or if he's genuinely starting to come towards her. Because I did see this episode, it did seem like he was kind of showing his emotions a little bit this time, just a little bit. But, he's basically just, I wouldn't say pouring out his heart, but he's letting her know where he stands. And, he's saying he's struggling because of the other guys. So then, she gets upset with him and, she wants to storm off and everything. But she's telling him before she even leaves that, hey, I feel that I'm falling in love with you. And I was like, all right, hold on, stop. Wait a minute. Okay, you're falling in love with him. Look, I think it is good that as the person who has all the options, you got to let your options know, like where you stand, how you feel, so that they feel they can still, be in the game, to pursue you. But telling him that you're in love with him, I mean, how can you be in love with him? You were just with Lincoln. Like, I don't like this girl. She definitely has like some very, fantasy kind of ideas about romance and stuff like that. And, she says she has a history of like kind of fleeing when things get tough in a relationship and past relationships. But I don't know, just like, even if she thinks she's starting to fall in love with him, I don't know if that's really the time to tell him, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially from someone who's not so committed. And I think that maybe she thinks by telling him, then he'll be like, oh, okay, well, me too. And look at how he was looking at her. He was basically saying, you know what? Okay, he just looked down. I mean, he's like, I like you, and it was like the same situation with like Steve and Noah Married at First Sight, where you have the woman professing her love, or the beginnings of falling in love to a guy who's not even showing you to a full extent. I mean, they're showing interest, but they're not doing all these things to make you think that, oh, okay, this is totally safe. I can tell him that because I can tell he does too, but maybe he's just too afraid to say it. So I was like, why are you even saying that? Like, do you even know, like, but then again, I guess because she's young, and, I guess if we look back when we were in our 20s, how many times did we think we were in love with somebody? You know what I mean? She probably does feel that way, but I think it's a little silly, you know what I'm saying? She needs to just kind of, but that's why she has her court there, because, hey, if you're not very good at making relationship decisions, you have your family as your support system. So, all right. So anyway, okay, so that was Bokikio. So then Bokikio then goes and seeks counsel with her sister. Now, he's basically spilling the tea on, well, it's not really spilling tea because everybody knows that Lincoln is not all the way in it, right? But Bokikio didn't go all the way with the information, but he just left enough little breadcrumbs, for the sister to say, hey, listen, Bokikio, he really is into you, and he doesn't like that you're giving all this attention to a man that's not even going to stick around, blah, blah, blah. And, it was a short little meeting, but then I was thinking like, okay, well, is she going to go straight back to her sister and say something, or is this going to be not like a really big revelation or whatever? So then the next scene we have is her parents, and they're sitting together and they're talking about Lincoln, and they're like, and the mom is like, you know what? I'm not feeling this Lincoln situation. I mean, you guys, or I don't know, like, I'm surprised she even had any faith in him in the beginning, but she's like, definitely not now. And her parents seem to be kind of open, but at the same time, in the long run, they want someone that's going to be, committed and, there for the long run, someone who wants to start a family, someone who can support her, right? Regardless of whatever she does with this acting career, right? So, and then the dad chimes in. He was like, yeah, I don't think I could support this. And she was very clear that, listen, I thought my parents liked him a little bit more than I'm finding out now that they actually don't. But at least, like, I have to say that I cannot marry this guy if these two just don't get along or if they don't accept him. I couldn't marry someone that my parents don't like. So I'm like, okay, well, all right. Okay, this is good. This is good because that's the whole reason that the court is there, right? The parents are acting as her direct counsel. And, that's bringing it a little bit into real life as well. Forget all this Regency stuff. She seems to respect her parents enough to say that to respect them and respect their opinion of someone else, that she would not marry someone that they didn't approve of. And I think that's a good thing. A lot of people would not be in a lot of the marriages now, like bad marriages, if we listen to our parents' sage advice, right? So, all right. So now, okay, so that's after she talks to her parents. Yeah. So her mama's like, Lincoln is a no, honey. And then, okay. So Lincoln, after he spends the night, he's like, he says to the guys, like, you guys, I know you all been like, up back of, or not back of, I've been back and forth, but you guys are pretty solid in where you're at with how you feel about Miss Remy. But me, yeah, I had to sleep on it another night. Basically, I had to go in her room and sleep with her again to figure out that, I only want the cookies, like, maybe in the summertime when my SUV is over by the West Coast, if I'm passing through LA, I might check you out. Like, it was just ridiculous. And, he said he needed that extra night of clarity, but that's her fault. She shouldn't have let him back into her bed, like, if you know that he can't give you what it is that you want. I just don't understand that. I really don't get that. That's the whole purpose of this process, is to do it so that, to go about, seeking a partner in a way that's non-conventional, right? Like actual courtship, and I just was like, so the guys are just sitting there and they're all just like, oh, rolling their eyes, scratching their head, like, man, when are we going to get rid of this guy? Like, can she not see what's going on? Yeah, it was terrible, right? I agree, Sharina. It was terrible because, I mean, like, how many times do you need to be with this man for him to like play you on national television? You could have found out that you were just a booty call, like, back in Seattle. I that part is just, to me, is like a waste of time and everything. And it's unfair to the other people that are really trying. Look at Combs. Like, Combs doesn't have the exact connection with her that he would like to have, but he's working and he's trying. Now, Judge and Bokikio, obviously there's some chemistry there, but you got people like really putting in the work, and you keep this clown around. Like, girl, the blue what was I gonna say? The blue in his eyes are not that deep, and the curls are not that tight and coily that you need to be losing your mind over this, and you lose other people. You've eliminated other people that you could have had connections with that like are gone now, and you're not gonna get them back because of this, this BS, this clownery. So anyway, all right, now it's time. Now it's time for, you remember that scene in did you guys, for those of you who watched Game of Thrones, and even if you didn't watch it, the Red Wedding, right? So they are trying. And I felt like, man, all right, it's going down, because we've been waiting for this. Because I thought the first night that she found out that he wasn't into her like that, he was going to get sent home. But no, she kept him on. And it's like, okay, well, I guess maybe production is playing with us too. They want to keep like a little bit of a villain around for a little bit. So here we are at our red wedding. They're all having breakfast or, lunch or whatever, sitting around the table, the four remaining guys. Because remember, there's only four. Is right now, it's still Lincoln, Judge, Bokikio, and Cones. So they're all sitting around, and then all of a sudden, they're just eating and like, eating their crumpets and sipping their tea. Next thing, she gets this letter, and she looks at it. You see her reading, and she's like smiling, and she's like, "Oh, I need to take a minute." She steps out, and it's like, was it? Was your heart pounding when you were watching that scene? I know, because it was like, what is she gonna do? Like, is she gonna take the tablecloth and like, take it, swoop it off of the table or whatever? And next thing you can hear a pin drop. So then she gets up from the table, and like she collects herself, and then she tells the guys, listen, I need everybody to clear the room. They want the parents out of the room and everything. And she basically was like, what is going on with this? If you all don't want to be here, if you're not here for me. And I'm like, enough with the theatrics. Okay, you knew that this man was not here for you. And this was what, now we knew that Cones decided to get out his feather and his little parchment paper and wrote her a letter. So in this letter, he's basically telling her, this guy is no good for you. He doesn't really want you. He's been telling us every day, 6 days, 7 times on Sundays, in 17 languages. He's not into you like that. So, the information, I guess, for her, she seemed to be so very shocked, very classy of the sister to clear out the parents. I mean, hey, listen, you say classy, but maybe that was for their own good. Maybe they seem all poised and proper, but maybe they would have. He may have got a good old fashioned Haitian curse out from that father. Mr. Remy might have been like, what? But yes, they try to go with decorum and stuff like that, and I do appreciate that about the show, with the exception of letting him sleep with her at night. If this was like a regular reality show, no problem, have at it. But the sleeping, letting, even if it wasn't Lincoln, even if it was another guy, letting him in her bed at night would have been a little like, I don't really know about that. Not for this whole Regency era stuff, right? So anyway, the guys are all looking down on the ground, because basically they want to know who wrote the letter, right? They don't care, but they're probably wondering like, I wonder who that was. So once she clears the room, and then she confronts Lincoln head on. So Lincoln just sitting there, you know how he does, he looks down and he looks over to the side, he looks down at his hands again, he looks over to the side. It's like, well, I don't really know. I just, like, just maybe like, can't really fall in love with you. That's all. I'm only here, on a show for, looking for marriage and kids, and I'm not in love with you, and I can't get there. I'll never be able to get there. And she was like, but you told me that you were that I knew that, yes, you were honest about that, but then you told me that you were getting there, that you were falling in love with me, like what happened and everything. It's like, girl, he was not there for you to begin with. But, had it been me, well, it wouldn't have happened. It had it been me, because as soon as I found out his behind would have been on the first thing, smoking back to whatever little rest stop wherever his SUV is parked at. I'm not playing that. Are you serious? Like, he looks like he can barely get grocery money together. I just can't. Like, all the good looks, that's not enough. All right. Let's talk about that. That is not enough. So then, he's like, well, I wasn't BSing you. I mean, I really meant it and blah, 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 blah. He's basically talking in circles. So, then he wants to know if he can hug her goodbye. And she's like, you got to leave. And I'm glad she didn't let him hug her, because you know what? Pay his ass duck. Well, I'm trying not to cuss over here, but sometimes I just these people make me upset and I have to really, let it out. So, you should have just let him go and just walked out. And he left, or at least they showed him walking out the castle like they do with all the other guys when they get eliminated and stuff like that. But he was a waste of time. So now we get back to the dance card. So, all right, everybody is, there together, and there's 3 guys left. So now that Lincoln's gone, we still have Cones, we have Judge, and we have Bokikio. Now, Cones is the only one that she doesn't seem to have like those really like true romantic feelings for. And it's funny because, listen, for you ladies that were like, you know what, I think it's gonna be Judge and Bokikio at the end, I was right there too. That's how I feel. It seems like that's kind of our little prediction is coming true for those people that were in the Judge and Bokikio as the final 2 camp. I do, and we're still not totally there yet. So as we see during the elimination, or during the dance card elimination process, she's letting Judge know that, she's finally seeing him, and she's finally, what, if I was Judge, I would have been like, girl, you can kick rocks. I've been showing you from the very beginning that I'm here for you, and I have good intention. He's been consistent. He's been polite. He's been patient. And, that is I'm sorry, listen, that is a fine man, okay? Old strapping farmhand. That is a very fine man, honey. That is just a very fine man. So I just do not understand why she was not like, claws just sunk into him from the very beginning. I mean, because she is attracted to him. I'm not saying like, oh, he's my type, but he's not her. He is her type. Obviously, she's attracted to him, but there's something, I don't know. I think she likes a little bit more of that dangerous. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Some of you guys are coming a little bit late. We are talking about the dance card right now. She's got her 3 people that she is narrowed it down to. So, yeah, I'm just like, why did you not see all this from the beginning? And she's lucky that he's very patient, and that he's not like, I've been showing you this from the beginning and you're only seeing it now that you kicked Lincoln off. Now I'm like, what am I, a consolation prize, right? But you got to have a thick skin to go through this process. And that was one of her issues that she had with Bokikio, because she's saying, when he kind of confronted her, she's basically saying like, hey, it's not fair that he doesn't understand that part of this process means I have to get to know several different people in an unconventional manner. It's not comfortable for me either, but this is the process. So, anyway, so, he picks her up and he's like really happy. And doesn't he just seem happy to be there, right? Judge just seems like, oh, he just seems so genuine. So anyway, now it's time for her to dance with Bokikio. So, he's like kind of happy a little bit, because, he's thinking, okay, less competition, because, he's more of a competitive type, right? And, she's like, she was regretful about how she ended things, and she doesn't want to continue this process of just like storming off on people when things don't go her way. But I don't know. I know a lot of you guys out there are team Danny. So if you could put it in the chat, if you guys are watching. So like, not who do you think she'll wind up with, but who do you want to see her with? Like, let me know. I'm very curious about that. So, then it's Cones' turn. Now, when she got to Cones, I really, really thought that was it. I mean, I just was like, okay, he's going home. He's going home. She's dealing with all this emotional stuff, and, she's going to, get rid of him, I think. But she actually kept him on. And he was honest and let her know that he was the one that wrote the letter. Now, Cones, the thing I like about Cones is that he's just so genuine. I mean, he just really is. I mean, I feel like he's probably been the most forthcoming, even when he didn't have to be, during this process. I just don't know how her chemistry is with him, but I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good catch, I think. I mean, he would make someone happy. I don't know that she's going to choose him, though. Do any of you guys think she's going to keep Cones on? So then we get to the end, and she basically decides to keep all three of them, and that's where I was shocked. Like, what, are you serious? Like, you're not going to get rid of any of them? Like, I was really surprised. Like, I mean, just because we lost Lincoln doesn't mean that we can't have an elimination, but maybe she's not ready. Maybe she still feels like, because we know she likes Bokikio and Judge, maybe she still feels like there's more that she wants to explore with Cones. Or is he just like a space filler? I hope not. Don't be playing with people's feelings like that, right? So, especially Cohen's, because he's just such a sweetheart. So I don't know. I mean, did you guys see like, well, and then they announced basically right after that, or the what would you call him, the host of the show? He's not bad looking either. I've seen people like in comment sections and stuff be like, who is that host? I don't care about the other guys. Is he single? It's so funny. So now they announce basically, hey, listen, or the host announces that that Lincoln is gone. So the guys are like relieved, because I'm sure they probably weren't sure, because they're all thinking like, he's been playing with you from the very beginning, and you've still had him here this whole time. So they probably weren't even sure if he was still going to be around even after the whole Lettergate situation. So I was looking at scenes for the next week's episode, and that's going to be interesting. I was like, oh yes, we're going to bring it back into the modern era, and we get to see her without her corset. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if she's wearing a corset, because that's like that, those Empire waist dresses. You didn't have to wear corsets with those type of things, but I don't know, maybe people still did anyway. But we get to see them in their regular clothes. We get to see them in a regular environment, and I think it's going to be very, very telling to see how they respond in a lounge or a bar situation where there's all kinds of, eye candy that, production has planted, like all these gorgeous women. I wonder if they're going to do that, because they're in England. And I mean, people are just average looking, right? I'm sure they're going to get like all the little English, like, supermodels, and kind of pluck them, from agencies and put them in the room. I'm so curious if they're going to do something like that, just to kind of test and see, like, if somebody really attractive is going to catch, one of these guys' eyes, and like just how they respond. I am so, like, I didn't even think that they would do something like that. That's a really good approach. So I'm really, really excited for next week's episode. So hopefully we'll be tuning in. I still, for some reason on my DVR, still haven't been able to see when the final episode is going to be. So someone had told me that there were going to be 13 episodes in total, and that might be about right, because this was episode 11. Next week is going to be in the modern world, and it would make sense that there would be like a final episode after that. So let's see if there's going to be any elimination, or if they're going to make her choose between three, because it looks like she's going to be choosing between three at the end. And now, if you choose between three, it's not, I feel like it's not as, I don't know, like maybe it wouldn't be as hard, because you're breaking two people's hearts. Not two people's hearts, but there's almost like, you feel like, okay, well, those two kind of, not that they have each other to commiserate with, but I feel like when there's one and one, like on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, like when there's two people left kind of thing, and it's like, it's tough, because you may have equally, connected and bonded and have a romantic connection with two people. When there's three, it's like, okay, how much love can you spread? So I think it'll be easier on her if there's an elimination of three, but maybe they'll do two. I'm not sure. So we'll see about that. And also, I want to know, like, when they do the real world setup, like, is that going to be like over the course of a couple of days? Like, how many, like, is that going to be just like a couple of hours? They're going to just drive to London for the day or something like that. I'm really curious about that as well. So, I don't know. Let's see. So since next week is not going to be the final episode, maybe we'll do like a, well, I can't do like a watch party, because where I live in the Pacific Northwest, it comes on at 11 o'clock at night, and there's no way I'm too old. I cannot, like, it's very difficult for me to be like, up and perky and wearing makeup and stuff like that to do it at nighttime. But let me just try and think maybe if there's like some way that we can all kind of get together and have a conversation about this on the final day. If you guys have any ideas, let me know also below in the comment section so we can talk about it. But yeah, this was just crazy. This was just, I was so upset. I was literally clutching my pearls last week when she slept with this guy again. I mean, when I say sleep with, I mean, I'm assuming it's the other kind of sleep, but for what we know, it's just, allegedly. But anyway, it's just, what we know is that they physically were in the bed together. So, I mean, but that's enough. I mean, like I just didn't even understand why he was even there in the first place. So what about you? What about you guys? Are you happy Lincoln is finally gone? Do you think that she's going to maybe like regret getting rid of him? Because they're going to have some sort of surprise guest next week. And the sister is like Scarlett O'Hara just falling down to the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, listen, who is coming? So the last time that they were that excited is when Dominique, the brother, came. And is he going to come back maybe with a new baby in tow or something like that? Did they like film it 6 months in between after he had his baby? I'm not sure. But yeah, let's tune in next week and see what's going on. Let me know any of your opinions. I love when you guys chime in. Thank you for subscribing. It's really a lot of, just personally for me, it's really a lot of fun when I'm just like doing something. Maybe I'm focusing on something that I have to do that's more work related or something like that. And then I see a notification and I look down, it's one of you guys. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to have somebody to chat with about this. So I really appreciate your engagement. Thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share it with a friend that you think that might like this kind of show. Turn on your notification bell so you know what time I'm coming on. I typically come on the morning after, which is usually around 9 o'clock. That's like my free time when my child is at school. And that's about it. So anyway, take care, everybody. Stay safe and che pisalacho.